Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this has been the broken record of the weekend. Pelosi admonishes Trump for using 9/11 video to criticize Ilhan Omar. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi admonished President Donald Trump for using video of 9/11 to criticize Representative Ilhan Omar's remarks she made referencing the terrorist attacks as "some people did something." The memory of 9/11 is sacred ground, and any discussion of it must be done with reverence. The president shouldn't use the painful images of 9/11 for a political attack, Pelosi said on Saturday. The Democratic leader added that it's wrong for the president as commander-in-chief to fan the flames to make everyone less safe. I'm going to stop here for a moment. Speaker Pelosi, I am a former volunteer firefighter. I am a former firefighter as I was injured and no longer can physically do the job. So I now volunteer sporadically to teach how to tie knots or use tools or to fry fish to earn money for the department. But on 9/11 2001, my brothers and sisters in the fire department in New York and my other first responder families of police, EMS, and so on lost a lot of their family in New York due to the actions of terrorists who flew aircraft into the two World Trade Center towers, causing them to collapse. It was not some people. It was Middle Eastern Islamic terrorists. It was not something. It was a horrible attack that took down the monument of capitalism in New York and killed thousands. The video I watched that morning of people jumping out of windows so high up they knew they would not survive the landing to avoid a slow death in the tower will stick with me until I die. I was working at a new job, second day on the job. My boss walks in and tells us what had happened and turned on the television. He told us that phones were available to call relatives and we were off for the rest of the day to come back tomorrow. My mother worked for a large airline, so I called her. Her building was on lockdown. I called the fire station very near her and told them what was going on at that office, said they may need help to get food and water. They stepped up immediately, and they went and they met with the people at the office, and they went and they got a few supplies for them. And for 2 days, my mother could not leave her office. I came home, turned on the television, and I was in shock. My dog crawled into my lap and just snuggled, and I broke. And then the resolve came back that this should never happen again. Now, 18 years almost 18 years later, there is a member of the United States House of Representatives saying, well, some people did something. That is abhorrent to me. That is the total disregard for the animalistic attack on our country. The end goal of the people who years before had bombed the Trade Center trying to take out its base. And now that group of Islamic terrorists had succeeded in killing thousands of Americans in the heart of the financial district of New York. President Donald Trump showed up, put his workers that he was paying to work looking for victims who had survived. Where were you, Speaker Pelosi? Where was Representative Omar? She wasn't even in this country yet. She hadn't yet married her brother to commit immigration fraud to get here and later use campaign funds for her run for Congress to divorce him. Her remarks desecrate the memory of my family, my brothers and sisters in the fire and law enforcement and EMS services who died that day to save lives after a cowardly attack on our country. Donald Trump reminding her that it was not some people who did something, but it was Islamic terrorists who attacked our country is the right thing to do. She should, as a member of the U.S. House, have more composure and more logic than to do something like she did. Yes, the memory is sacred. And no, you're not going to denigrate it by defending someone who denigrated it first. Rant over. The president on Friday tweeted out a video that used comments Omar made at the Council on American Islamic Relations last month, spliced with news footage of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. We will never forget, Trump wrote. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Minnesota did. The under 1 minute video that Trump posted did not include Omar's comments in context. CNN has reached out to Omar's spokesperson for comment. Uh, her comment was literally, some people did something. There is no context to that. For far too long, we have lived with the discomfort of being second-class citizen, and frankly, I'm tired of it, and every single Muslim in this country should be tired of it. CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties. Omar said last month. CARE was founded in 1994. Now, Representative Omar, that is 7 years before 9/11. And no, you're not losing rights. There is no movement of jackbooted thugs knocking down doors, dragging Muslims into the street, and screaming at you while holding a gun to your head, were you involved in 9/11? There is no denial of constitutional rights to American citizens. You, however, married your brother, which is illegal in the U.S., and used that to emigrate to this country, fleeing a war-torn country, and now you expect us to just forget that the very people you defend as saying are losing rights are the people who attacked our country. In a series of tweets Saturday, Omar, one of the first two Muslim women in Congress, said, "No one person, no matter how corrupt, inept, or vicious, can threaten my unwavering love for America." Really? What about your video where you're almost giddy as you say Hezbollah or Hamas? And then you say no one feels anything when they say America. If you love this country so much, why are you not the first person to stand up and say the 9/11 attacks were a horrible, vicious attack on us by Muslim terrorists and should never happen again? I did not run for Congress to be silent. I did not run for Congress to sit on the sidelines. I ran because I believed it was time to restore moral clarity and courage to Congress, to fight to defend our democracy. One, we are not a democracy. We are a representative republic. Two, why are you not standing up against female genital mutilation? Something that is abhorrent and should never happen. Omar also quoted former President George W. Bush in the wake of 9/11 as a way of defending her words. The people and the people who knock down these buildings will hear all of us soon. That's a bit out of context. Why not play the entire video? Omar said on Friday, quoting George Bush's words in 2001, was Bush downplaying the terrorist attack? What if he was a Muslim? Well, no, he was not. George Bush was speaking off the cuff, as he did often. He was standing amongst the rubble of the World Trade Center towers. He was talking to people who had been digging for days, praying to find a survivor. I honestly wish he had said the animals who did this. But he was moderating his speech to not inflame people further. Now, nearly 18 years later, you're doing the same specifically to inflame people. Several congressional Democrats and 2020 Democratic presidential candidates came to the Minnesota Congresswoman's defense on Twitter. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont called for the disgusting and dangerous attacks against Omar to end. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren accused Trump of inciting violence against Omar and said, "Any elected leader who refuses to condemn it shares responsibility for it." Senator Kamala Harris of California suggested Trump was vilifying the whole region. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand condemned Trump's rhetoric, but also appeared to take issue with Omar's comments. As a senator who represents 9/11 victims, I can't accept any minimizing of that pain, Gillibrand wrote on Twitter. But Trump's dangerous rhetoric against Ilhan Omar is disgusting. It's a false choice to suggest we can't fight terrorism and reject Islamophobic hate at once. A president should do both. Well, Senator Gillibrand, he's not inciting Islamophobic hate. He is reminding Ilhan Omar, who was not in this country nearly 18 years ago, that it was not some people who did something. It was Muslim terrorists who flew commercial airliners into both World Trade Center towers, crippling them to the point of collapse and killing thousands. Or should we just say that in Christchurch, some guy did something? It's the exact same comparison. In Christchurch, a mentally ill, evil, heartless thug murdered people. On 9/11, evil, heartless Muslim terrorists murdered people. Same thing. So unless you're going to moderate your speech on everything, blaming the people who did something, then you need to do it the other way on everything. The New York Post on Thursday published its cover with an image of the Twin Towers engulfed in flames and the headline, "Here's Your Something." Some of Omar's high profile House Democratic colleagues called the cover hateful, suggested the Congresswoman's comments were manipulated, and accused the owner of the Post, Rupert Murdoch, who has deep ties to Trump, of endangering Omar's life. A week ago, a New York man was arrested and charged with threatening to assault and murder Omar because of her faith. Well, if it was a week ago, it was before those despicable comments. It doesn't matter when. The threat of murder against anyone should be immediately acted on. But you notice that it was a New Yorker who was commenting about Omar. It was not Nicholas Cruz, who in a YouTube video publicly stated he was going to be a school shooter. That was ignored, of course. I realize I'm getting a bit passionate here. I'm getting a bit upset. I'm a firefighter. Yes, I'm no longer active because of an injury, but I still work with my local volunteer fire departments to ensure their rookies know everything they need to know to serve their communities. Nearly 18 years ago, so many of my brothers and sisters in New York on the fire department, police department, and in emergency medical services lost their lives trying to save as many as they can. They went into those buildings knowing they could collapse at any point, knowing there was fire and smoke and debris everywhere, so they knew they would most likely not come out. In Philadelphia, the passengers on another plane sacrificed their lives knowingly to down their plane before it could be used as a missile. And now we have people, not even 2 decades later, saying, well, some people did something. Imagine if a conservative had said that about Christchurch or any other mass shooting. They would be drummed out of Congress and drummed out of public life so fast their great grandchildren's heads would spin for eternity. The news would be all over it. Photos and video of the attack would be everywhere. Here's your something. Here's your something. It wasn't some person. It was an evil right-wing conservative. But when it's Ilhan Omar saying about the 9/11 attacks in New York, well, we don't want to put her in danger. Are you acknowledging that her comments are so inflammatory they will drive people to become very angry? And that in order to protect her right to say those stupidly idiotic things, we must not even talk about them. I'm honestly surprised anyone from New York would even consider ignoring or defending this. Yet we have Senator Gillibrand who's doing just that in a roundabout, backhanded way. But I'm going to stop here. I've talked about this long enough. I'm getting a little riled up, and I don't want to. I don't like when I get this way because I do lose composure. And as I've said in all of my videos, we don't learn from an argument. We learn from a debate. This is one topic I know gets under my skin very quickly because I'm very close to the topic. If you ask firefighters about 9/11, they're all going to get very emotional. And to have a member of the United States House of Representatives just dismiss the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in the last 50 years, as she did, is abhorrent to me. So yes, I get a little passionate, I get a little emotional. But let me know what you think. Make sure to keep your comments toned down. I'm not going to ask for classy in this case, but keep them civil, because we need a debate. We don't need an argument. Also, please like and share the video, and subscribe, ring notifications so that you're one of the first to know when new content is posted. As I've said in the past, I do have my Monday through Friday schedule of the 4s and 10s. Weekends are a bit of a free-for-all. So nights like tonight, where I have a bit more time, may see the weekend stay a little bit close to as busy as the week. Other weekends, I'm stretched pretty thin, so we'll see how that works. But again, by subscribing and turning on notifications, you'll be the first to know when anything is posted. Until the next time, though, everyone have a wonderful day.